When we solve multi-step equations, we're going to use the previous skills that we've learned from one-step and two-step. Okay, the only difference is multi-step is obviously more than two steps. It has many steps. So what we did in combining like terms can help us solve multi-step equations. The distributive property can help us solve multi-step equations. It's kind of an accumulation of all the skills that you've learned so far to help solve for a variable. All right. When an equation has a variable on both sides, add or subtract to get the variable onto one side. Okay. And we'll kind of work out. We got lots of practice problems that we're going to do today for this. I believe there's 8. So we are definitely going to get our money's worth. All right. So I'll give you a second to get that copied down. So basically what the second one is saying is if you have like 3n plus 7 equals 2n minus 5. Okay. It says add or subtract to get the variable on one side, which means one of these numbers we're going to add or subtract to get it, so we want the variable on one side. That's what that's saying. Okay. So again, that's where all of our skills that we've just done on a lot of those previous worksheets are going to really come into play, because we have to be able to get the variable by itself and solve and break it down into just the actual n and not have a number in front and all that good stuff. So we're going to use all the operations on this one. Can I at least cover up the green? Okay, so you're still right there. So, when solving a multiple step equation, okay, step 1 says you can do the distributive property, and notice how it says if needed. There may not be parentheses with a number in there to multiply through. Okay, again, combine like terms if needed. And again, on both sides of the equal sign. So sometimes again, it's multiple steps. There's lots of work that we can do. Step 3, all variables need to be on one side of the equal sign. Okay, so if we have variables on each side of the equal sign, we got to get to one side. Does it matter which side? No, but I'm going to show you a little trick today that can help you. Step 4, undo adding or subtracting, and undo multiplying or dividing. So when we say undo, that means if you're saying 3x, that's literally saying 3 times x. So to undo things, you have to do its opposite. So if you're multiplying, because that's what 3 times x is, 3x, what's the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. Okay, so instead of multiplying by 3x, you would divide by 3 to get rid of the, right? Because 3 divided by 3 is always, what's any number divided by itself?
0, right?
No, it's 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. So again, we're going to do lots of practice problems to break it down and show you how we do this. All right. Everyone got those steps down? All right, I'm going to pause it here, let you finish writing. All right, so what does all this mean? It means this. So let's go to our first example. So 12y equals 2y plus 40. So notice that I have variables on both sides of the equal sign, right? Now, if you don't like working with negative numbers, okay, when you have variables on both sides of the equal sign with a number in front, I always, as a rule, move the smaller number that's in front of the variable. Because if I do that, my number will always be positive. Does that make sense? So let me show you what I'm saying. So if what number is bigger, 12 or 2? So we have to move the 2y, right? So if we undo 2y, I have to do whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. So I have to make this side 0 and move it over here. So how can I make 2y 0? It's positive 2y. Subtract 2y. And the rule is whatever I do to the right side of the equation, I have to do to the left side of the equation. So I got to do it to both sides, right? So on this side, this is gone, right? Because 2y minus 2y is 0. So on the right side of the equal sign, I only have 40 left. And 40 is a positive number because of the sign here, right? And then over here, I got 12y minus 2y. What does that come to? 10y. So you see how the number stays positive? Okay. Now, I have to get y by itself. That's the rule. Okay. So now I have 10y. And 10y is really written as 10 times y. So how do I undo multiplication? We have to divide. So we're going to divide by the number that's in front of the y. If we divide both sides by 10, any number divided by itself is 1. So that's why we cross this out, because we don't write 1y, right? We just write y. And what's 40 divided by 10? Blake? 4. So for solving that equation, that answer is 4. Y equals 4. Now, here's the cool thing about solving equations. You can actually check to see if you got the answer right. What you do is you take the 4 and replace it with y, or replace the y with 4. So this would actually be, if you do the check, okay, this will be 12, instead of times y, it's times 4, equals 2 times 4 plus 40. Let me draw a little line here so we don't get mixed up. So, what's 12 times 4? 48, good. And 2 times 4 is? And that's plus 40. Well, if I add the right side, 8 plus 40 is? So when I do the check step and I get the left side equaling the right side, does 48 equal 48? Yeah, that means we got the answer right. And you know that 4 is correct. Now, if you have two different numbers, let's say if you got 37 equals 48, you know you made a mistake somewhere and you got to go back and fix it. Okay? But that's how we can check to see if we got the answer right. That's the cool part about solving equations. So on a solving equations quiz, you can actually check every problem, and if you got every problem right, you know you got 100% already. You don't even need to wait for the grade. Cool, huh? Let's try another one together before I turn you loose. So this one again, we have variables on both sides, right? Here, 7y and the y. So again, the rule of thumb is always move the smaller number. What one's smaller, 7y or y? Right, because what number is in front of y? A 1. So we're going to subtract y to both sides. Now, when I do that, this goes away. And on the right side, I'm left with, and I can't forget the sign that goes with the 42. Negative 42 is on the right side. And what's 7y minus y? 6y. Okay. So now, again, I have to undo multiplication by dividing both sides by 6. And when I divide both sides by 6, I get y, because 6 divided by 6 is 1. What's negative 42 divided by 6? Maria? Negative 7, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And negative 7 is our answer here for y. Okay? Not too bad so far? You guys know from experience, though, these are going to get harder, right? All right. Everyone got this? Someone say no? Okay. So now we have some parentheses. Well, this little part is basically what? We just did a worksheet on it. The distributive property, right? Okay. So that's why they call this multi-step. So we're going to start by distributing this 9 into each term. So what's 9 times d? 9d, right? And then minus 9 times 4. 36. And then I'm just going to copy the right side. So in my first step, I did the distributive property because we had it there. Notice in the first two problems that we did, we didn't have any parentheses, right? So remember when you wrote the notes down, it said use the distributive property and it said if needed. Well, we didn't need to do it in the first two problems because it wasn't there. So now we got it broken down, right? Well, now we have variables on both sides. So which one are we going to move? 9D or the 5D? Yeah, move the 5D because it's smaller. You keep your numbers positive. So how can I move the 5D over to the left? Is it positive or negative? Positive. So yeah, we have to subtract it to both sides. And remember, what you do to the right side, you have to do to the left side. So this becomes 0. So the only thing left on the right side is an 8. And over here I have 4D, because I get 4D when I subtract 5D from 9D, minus 36. Well, unlike the before, like this is where we start dividing right away, right? Well, I still got some extra stuff over on the left side, don't I? What do I got to get rid of over here? 36. How do I get rid of the 36? I got to add it because it's a minus 36. So to get that to 0, I have to add 36, and I got to do it to both sides. So when I do that, that becomes 0, right? And I'm left with 4D. And what's 8 plus 36? 44. Well, now I got it down to what we've been doing, right? How can I get D all by itself? Divide by 4, right, because I have to undo multiplication. So if I divide by 4, okay, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 44 divided by 4 is 11. And there's my answer. Took me a few more steps than the previous one, right? But I got it. All right, before I turn you loose with one, we're gonna do one more together, but I have you guys talk me through it. So take a look at this one. What's gonna be my first area to attack? Who wants to? How am I gonna start this, Lily?
Negative 4 times f negative 4 times 6.
Okay, so when I multiply negative 4 in these two, what is that called? Yeah, we're distributing, right? So negative 4 times f is negative 4f, and negative 4 times 6 is negative 4 times 6. Negative 24. Now notice on the right-hand side, I have some like terms, right? What can I do to those like terms? I can combine them. So, what's negative 24 plus 14? Negative 24 plus 14, Braden? Negative 10. All right, we're getting there now. What's my next step? Do I have variables on both sides? No. So what can I do now? Who wants to help me here? Who wants to help me? Braden?
Once you add 10.
Yeah, we want to get the 4 out, negative 4f by itself, so I have to add 10 to both sides. Very good. So if I add 10 to both sides, that goes away. I'm left with 30 equals negative 4f.
Would it be negative 10 or just 10?
Well, remember, it's a minus 10, right? Because we added up here. So I got to do the opposite, adding, because that gives me 0. All right, so now I got to get f all by itself. How am I going to do that? Divide by what? Negative 4. I got to divide by the same number. All right. So basically, you can write this answer several different ways. As an improper fraction, negative 30 over 4. All right. You can write it as a mixed number. That is negative 7.5, right? Because negative 2/4. Or negative 7.5. All these numbers are the same number in different forms.
It says plus, it's not minus 6. What?
Where's the 6 at? Yeah, but you multiplied it by a -4. All right. So here's what I'm going to have you do. Everyone got this? So you can see on the we've added the distributive property in. They also have a little bit more steps than the other ones, right? A little bit extra work. All right. All right. So here's what I'm going to have you do. Everyone got this? Okay. So we have two problems here. Here's what I want you to do. With your face partner, that means the person across from you. So 1 and 3s, okay? If you're 1 and 3 at your table, raise your hand. Okay, you're across from you guys, you two together are going to work on this problem, the 9x minus 14 plus 3 times x minus equals 7. You're going to work on that one. 2s and 4s, your face partners, raise your hand. You're going to work on the problem on the right, okay? And then I'm going to ask some tables to kind of help me out what you did. So 2s and 4s, you got the problem on the right. 1s and 3s, you got the problem on the left. We're going to pause it and give you about 5 minutes to work on this. Solve for x for 1s and 3s. F's. Solve for f if you're a 2 and 4. Your face partners. Let's go. Come on. Give me a 1 and 3 group that wants to solve this. Well, I'll tell you what. 1 and 3. So what's my first step here, 1 and 3 people? Right. Distribute the 3 through first. Why don't I add this first? Well, yeah, I can't add before I multiply, right? Bless you. So, 9x minus, so 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times -8 minus 8 is what? Minus 24 equals 7. So now that we've distributed, we have on one side, we have like terms here, right? We have this, and we have that. So I can combine like terms, right? What is 9x plus 3x? 12x. And what's -14 minus 24? I'll give you a hint. -38. Now it's in a little bit familiar territory, right? So I got to isolate the variable. That's what we always call it in 8th grade when we solve for equations, right? So we got to get the variable by itself. So I got to get rid of something. What do I get rid of, Gavin?
You add 38.
Right, we are going to add 38 to both sides. And when I do that, that goes away. So I'm left with 12x equals, what's 7 plus 38? 45. So if I want to get x all by itself, what do I got to do? Robert. Divide by 12. Because 12 divided by 12 is 1. So this is 45 twelfths. Or this goes, 3 and 9 twelfths, which is 3 and 3 fourths. Or 3.75. Any groups get that? All right. So again, either one of the 3 answers is right. Do you have to write all 3? No. Okay, you do not. Any one of the 3 is totally fine. All right, so let's go to the 2s and 4s. All right, Becky, let's see. What'd you guys do?
So distribute the 6.
Okay, distribute the 6 first. Okay, so that you get what?
For the F, E.
What do you get when you multiply this 6 through?
It was, huh?
What do you get when you multiply the 6 through?
Oh, we got 6 plus 30. What? 6.
No. What's 6 times f?
6.
6f
Oh.
plus 30. Okay, So now, once you've distributed, I got 6f plus 30. Now what do we do?
Negative 2f, and you like you said, I put you got
So we got variables on both sides, so what can I do? We're going to move this one
yeah.
by doing what? Subtracting? All right, so we're going to subtract 2f from both sides. Is that what you guys did back there? Okay. So when I subtract 2f from both sides, I get 4f, because 6 minus 2 is 4, plus 30 equals minus 8, because don't forget about this sign. The sign is always to the left of the number, not the right. All right. So what can I do now?
Subtract.
Yep, I got to subtract 30 over here. So when I do that, that goes away. So the left side, I'm left with 4f. On the right side, what's negative 8 minus 30? Negative 38. All right. All right, so now I got to get f all by itself. And how can I do that? Joey? Divide by 4. So I get negative 38 fourths. Or that's negative 9 and 2 fourths, which is negative 9.5 or negative 9.5. All those answers are correct. Either one of the three. It's the same number written in three different forms. Just set it right there. Thanks, Joe. All right, we got two more for you. Okay. So, we've done 6. There's only 2 more left. These 2 right here. So, walk me through this one. Who wants to be brave enough to walk me through this one? Pretend I know nothing about this. You're helping me solve this. I'm up here at the board all by myself, sweating bullets because I don't know what I'm doing, and you're going to help me solve this problem. Who's going to be Joey? All right. All right. You guys should be listening and not talking. So we're going to combine like terms, these like terms here. All right. So you say combine these like terms. All right. So when you combine those, what do you get? Okay. So what else am I going to do? Okay. Okay, so we combine our like term. Okay. All right, so now what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. All right, so when I do that, 8 minus 8 is 0. So now what am I going to do? 16 minus 8 is what? 8. All right, what else? Bring down minus 4m, okay. All right. Going to divide negative 4 to both sides. Okay, because negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. And then? Very good. Very well done. That's it right there. Perfect. Okay, he had to combine like terms first, and then it was just undoing either addition and subtraction or multiplication and division, right? All right. What about the last one? Anyone want to give it a shot? Well, let me tell you. Since they put the minus 2 on the outside, this is really not a distributive property. So basically what you can do is you can combine these like terms right off the bat. 5t minus 2t, which is 3t. Now, if that minus sign wasn't here, then you would distribute. But because it's a minus, this is a term, this is a term. You don't need it. There's no reason for parentheses here. So, how do I get 3t by itself, Anthony? What do I got to do to this? Yeah, subtract 2 to both sides. So when I do that, that goes away. 25 minus 2 is 23. And now, what did I do to get t all by itself? Divide by 3. All right, so you can get 23 over 3 as an answer. If I write it as a mixed number, how many times does 7 go or 3 go into 23? 7. How much is left over? 2. So that's 7 and 2/3. Or this is 7.6 repeating. So any of these answers are right. All right. Let me hit